Good morning, students. We have read this chapter. We have completed this chapter, The Lost Spring. We have completed the second and first part also, and I hope you have understood the chapter well. Now come to the questions. First part is understanding the text. First question is, what could be some of the reasons for the migration of people from villages to cities? So this question is regarding the first part. So what were the reasons? For first part, reasons were that that they are not provided with the basic facilities. They are not able to make their both ends meet. They are not able to have their livelihood. That was the reason that they migrated from villages to cities. Okay. And then, would you agree that promise made to poor children are rarely kept? What do you think this happens in the incident narrated in the text? It happens because here narrator unknowingly just said that he is going to build a school. So would he like to come to the school? She asked that to Sahib, and Sahib said very cheerfully that yes, he would. So she just made this promise in very vague manner. She was not at all serious. And there are many of the promises which were made to children or to especially to poor children or people that are never kept. Not rarely, that are never kept, and that happened also, and that has happened also in the text also. What forces conspire to keep the workers in the bangle industry of Firozabad in poverty? What are the forces? Forces of the second world, forces of the sahukars, middlemen, bureaucrats, and the politicians. They force them to stay in their occupation. If they really want to get out of that occupation, they just drag them drag them and into those crimes which they have never committed. They drag them, they force them, they looted them, they used to loot them out of their money. So that was the reason that they are not able to have any other occupation. They are not supported by any of the members. Now talking about the text, how in your opinion can Mukesh realize his dream? How Mukesh can realize his dream? Mukesh, what he has to do to realize his dream, to fulfill his dream, that he has to be daring, he has to be different from whole of the community, because as that lady expressed, that it is the destiny of a bangle makers, that the son of the bangle maker is going to be bangle maker for sure. So he has to be very daring, he has to be bold, so that he can face his community, so that he can make difference, and so that he can fulfill his dream. Next is, mention the hazards of working in the glass bangles industry. That question is important. So the hazards, it is discussed in the chapter in a long detail, that hazards were they can lose their eyesight forever, and little children are working in dingy cells for day and night, and it is not good for their health. They are consuming that glass smoke into their bodies, which is deteriorating their health. So these are the health hazards. Okay. Why should child labor be eliminated, and how? So why should child labor be eliminated? Because it is the right of a child to enjoy his childhood, and one is to have education. It is a right of every child to have the basic education. Okay, so we must make people aware, and it should be eliminated, so that every child can have a beautiful childhood, a happy childhood, and he could be provided with the basic need of education, basic facility of education. Okay, so now thinking about language. So here it is the talk has been made about the figure of speeches which are used here. So for example, hyperbole, what is hyperbole? Hyperbole is the way of speaking or writing that makes something sound better or more exciting. Hyperbole is kind of exaggerate the things. Okay, metaphor, metaphor compares two things or ideas that are quietly different to each other. Simile, very well. Okay, so these are the examples given. So these questions you have to do in your copy, and two questions are very important that can be asked again and again, that the Simapuri will, how the Simapuri people are living, their livelihood. It is also, it came into, sometime it comes into your question papers. And one is Firozabad, how there is a compare and contrast. There is also compare and contrast between the characters of Mukesh and the Sahib. Why? Because Sahib was he was cheerful person. He really did not want to make difference in his life. He was just a child. He is just enjoying his independence, enjoying his freedom, which was snatched lately by the need of his to have livelihood. whereas Mukesh, he is very much aware of his goals and perspective towards life. He really want to do something different in his life, so that is compare and contrast which can be made. So just write these questions, and okay, and this chapter is also very important, so read this chapter line by line, because now pattern has changed for your exams, and maximum questions are coming as MCQs. The 20 marks of literature part, that will be in MCQs. Short questions will be asked in MCQs, and the MCQs will be coming from your text. So read these questions very carefully. Do read the chapter very carefully. Okay.